Hello. If you're watching this, you've looked at the thumbnail that I have yet to make, so I wonder what that's gonna look like. About this video, it's just me going through my experience with trying to get healthier and lose weight, and tips and tricks I have picked up along the way to just kind of do that and make it easier, not making it such a constant task. Headache one must accomplish day after day after day, and just something that you can progressively just do as part of your routine. And that will be a major part of everything I'm going through, just affecting your routines. Though to start off straight away with, going off my notes down here, you need to know that this is not a magical guide, nor is any guide really. These things will help you, but it's still a very long process. Me losing the amount of weight I have, about 25 kilograms, that took me like 2 years to accomplish. And if you're very serious about losing your weight yourself, it probably will take you a similar amount of time to see such massive results. It's less akin to like a sprint or battle, but more of a marathon and a war. You've just got to make a sustained, consistent effort, and with time, you will see results. It could take 2 years like it did for me, could take even longer, but you will see results if you don't give up. And from there, I'm just going to move on to my first subject, healthy food. Yes, this point here, that was very important for me. Scaling down your portion sizes for what you're eating. Like, through a mix of going very hungry sometimes as a kid and just wanting to fill a void, I just started to slowly eat more and more and more. And like, it is one of the most effective things you can do is just like scale that back to only eat as much as you need to, as opposed to making sure you got this incredibly full feeling in your stomach. To try not feel any kind of emptiness there. That is something I failed to do for a while. Like, I was just, every meal I had to make sure I was 100% full. I'm disappointed looking back on it now. But a key thing saying that is that, like, when I came to that realization, I just didn't do it overnight. I started by slowly doing it over time. My personal example, I started eating these jumbo sausages that were cheap enough to buy from the local supermarket. Basically the local kind of brand that you go to, not a mom and pop shop. And like, I was just eating those at like 6 at a time within wraps. Well, actually no, back all the way back then it was just bread. Get into that later. But I was just eating so much at a time just to feel completely full. And I realized I have a problem. I didn't cut back down to just like 2 or 3 instantly. I knew, okay, creature of habit, and I normally make 2 out of these, and if I don't keep that up, like, I will just fail and slip into old routines. So I cut it down to 4 at a time, and then started just making 2 in each one. And when I started getting used to that volume of food, realized I could push it further, I then went down to 3 in only 1 wrap. And then from there, this one is less about a routine, well, conscious routine change, but just chaos changing up. I just switched it down to like some goujons, just because they were sold out of the sausages one day. I went for that instead because I like spicy food, and luckily I've been able to stick to that ever since, and it's been an even bigger help, especially with the lack of sugar. that surprisingly the sausages had. That really threw me for a loop when I actually checked the back of it. I was completely dumbfounded as to why there would be sugar in a meat product, but that's just the way life goes sometimes. Probably should have said this sooner. This is a bit more off the cuff. I don't have a full script down here. I'm just some bullet points there. Moving on, let's see. Yes, another good thing. As you are like shifting down your portion sizes, you will feel the urge to snack more often. Especially if you're already somewhat of a snacker as well. A good thing that I did was making sure that when I snacked, because I knew I couldn't stop myself from doing it all the time, is that I had healthy foods to snack on. And I went to those. Like some examples, just base examples: apples, oranges, bananas, grapes. Carrots are particularly good because they're like high in fiber as well. I paused to take a drink of water and I forgot where it was. Carrots are good, high in fiber, breaks down sugar, helps with a whole bunch of other stuff. Like healthy foods to snack on as opposed to junk food, which has a lot of sugar in it, which your body can't process as well as like fat or whatnot, and it gets stored as more fat than just normal fat would be. Like it's good to have that instead of like, say, a few biscuits or candy bar, or even like, shockingly enough, yogurt, because like they just have a lot of sugar in them, like stuff like that. Like you gotta be real careful with what you're getting for your healthy alternatives and like really weigh that out, because for a while there, part of that for me was Nature Valley bars, which are nice, but like they have some other good stuff about them, but I decided to move away from them myself when I realized, yeah, even these still have a lot of sugar in them without any naturally occurring fiber to kind of break that down in your body to aid your digestive system so it doesn't store as much of it. Another big thing of this video is just watch out for sugar. That's very bad for you. If you're gonna be eating more high fiber food, which I would recommend, it is very good for you. You may just, everyone makes jokes about prune juice and high fiber. High fiber is good for you. Get some prune juice. And that's all I want to say about that from there on. Because like, God, I wrote these down, I think. Overreacting to myself. I am scatterbrained. Just scatterbrained. ADHD. Don't price yourself out of eating healthy. That's one of the worst things you can do for yourself, is just being like too frugal to buy what's good for you and good for your body. Like for a while there, I was looking at it myself and like, I wanted to make some healthier changes, but I was wondering where the money could come from. And then I kind of shifted that thinking. Instead of being frugal about what was good for me, I realized I had to be frugal about what was bad for me. I'd be far more stingy with picking up like all the junk foods, all the snacks and whatnot, and then reinvest that money into the good products that were a bit more pricier for me, but did have a massive benefit to my health. Like, frugality can be good for you if you rewire your brain on how you use it. Don't question the price too much on what you know is healthy for you, but be very stingy whenever it comes to, you know, just your snacks to treat on. And that will be a huge help for you if you're looking to lose weight. On the topic of being frugal with your money and cutting out snacks to eat on, you're definitely going to want to cut out soda, or whatever the name for it is in your local dialect. Some people call it pop, some people call it minerals, depending on geographic location. But you want to cut that out as much as possible from your life. Not just that in general, but just any high volume sugary liquids. Just want to cut that out as much as possible. Like for a while there, well, I say for a while back, for a long time, I was going through it at an alarming rate. And I feel quite lucky to not have suffered diabetes because of it. And that's not me trying to be hyperbolic. I was probably going through like 3 or 4 2-liter bottles within the space of a week a long time back. And like that was one of the first things I realized I had to cut from my life as much as possible. And thankfully I've managed to do it. Like for a while there I was generally worried for my health and safety. A key example for me is going to Subway. used to because the world right now. I used to go there and get a Subway, and you could get mineral or soda pop, whatever, with that. And like I wasn't going there like even before then, maybe weekly basis some months, but a lot of the time it was only every 2 weeks or so. So just saying, okay, I can have it when I'm there, or like when I'm going to the cinema and I'm getting popcorn for myself, made it very easy to trick my brain into thinking it was still consuming it at a regular rate. Here's a speech therapy for nothing, I guess. But yeah, tricking my brain into thinking it was still consuming it regularly when it was these very specific key events that weren't happening on a very regular basis, but did become routine. For the specific changes you're going to want to make based off of this video or anything else you're using as a resource guide, managing routines is going to be highly effective. Using them instead of trying to fight against them, just shifting them ever so slightly. Oh, something, yes, that I wanted to talk about based on this. Supermarkets are kind of designed to give you choice fatigue and just kind of tire you out when you're trying to make the right choices. Some things are very useful for that is having a core habitual set of routine needs that sometimes can vary a bit. Example, like eggs. You may consume eggs on a regular basis, and like some weeks, like you just didn't eat as much and you're good for the next week. You don't need to buy more of them. That's okay as long as it's a routine within the month that you will be consuming them and need more, and you don't have to consciously, think about it when you're going into the supermarket. You're just out of eggs, you pick up eggs. You're not humming and hawing about what to get and having to actively make a choice, tiring out your brain. Now, another good thing for that is also just making a habit of like just a path that you take through the supermarket that just covers all the aisles that you just don't have to think about, and you can tune out as you're going through. So you can just get all the things you need. You have a rough idea of the geography, so if there's anything out of the ordinary or just something spontaneous you want to get or need, you're not being weighed down by like figuring out where it is or what area to look for it in. You just kind of know the geography. I think I covered 2 things, just like you know where the things are and you're not getting stressed out by figuring out where new stuff is. That and just like tuning out your brain and just going on autopilot as you get your normal stuff, and then only having to consciously think about a few things is very useful. I'd also recommend, like in that circumstance, to use frugality to your advantage and keep on task, have your phone out and use the calculator section on that to just keep track of everything you're buying. So like, even if like you could spend more and are willing to do so, you're constantly seeing the price go up before you get to the aisle, as opposed to just finding it out there and being like, well, I guess this is just what it costs. And on the same subject of the phone that I was supposed to naturally transition to, but ADHD, also have like music that you like to listen to, or maybe like an audiobook playing, so you can just listen to that while you're like on autopilot to trick your brain into thinking it's doing something very productive. That's been something that's been very useful for me. Yes, this one is also very important as well. They're all important, that's why I put them down. I gotta stop saying that. I just gotta, it's silly of me. I'm also going down into like a lower octave than I want to speak at, because I'm just kind of nervous. This is gonna be my first like fully edited video that isn't just gameplay that I did while streaming. It's just, no, this is actually something I'm putting out there as me, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking. And I'm that, and my voice just goes all over the place all the time. It's just kind of what I do. Moving on. This is very important to understand, though, if you're gonna make a very dedicated effort. You're not going to succeed all the time. You are going to fail. And that's okay. That is very much okay. Like, no one's going to have a batting average of 100%. It's okay to slow down for a few minutes in a marathon, but to lose a battle in a war, as long as you're keeping a good average pace, or to use the other metaphor, just being selective about what you lose and winning overall. There was probably some better terms that were floating back in my head for that last one, but they ain't popping up now, so I guess I gotta live with that and just seem like a bit of a fool for doing two metaphors at the same time. Seemed better in my head when I thought about it yesterday. Had it really fleshed out and then forgot about it when I slept. An example of this is, well, I'm planning to use it for a thumbnail, but I don't know if it'll be the final one. Also, what I was going into, distinctive failings. Silly me. It's important to have distinctive, notable, and trackable failings. Not so much like writing it down, because some people aren't always up for that, but just having a failing that you can be like, okay, no, I had to do X, Y, and Z to get my hands on this that recently. Just like whatever's kind of like can stick in your mind and doesn't blur together with other things, like having junk food in the house. Like going to the kitchen cabinet and take it from there can kind of blur together. But with these here, I specifically have to go out to the local... I'm forgetting what the term for it is. Not grocery store, but convenience store. There we are. Go to the local convenience store, pick these up, wait in line, and then walk back to my home. Like, that is very memorable. And actually, I was supposed to... I've messed this up from the end of healthy foods into psychology, but oh well. You're not going to do everything right all the time, though, which is what this is about. Like, I picked up a second one of these outside of my normal routine because I knew I couldn't hold off on those, and I wanted this as a prop for the video. And I'm going to eat it probably as soon as I'm done not editing, but checking the footage to make sure nothing got corrupted. As soon as I'm done with that, I'm scarfing these down, and once I know I don't need them for something. That's alright. The goal overall is to kind of... Well, not kind of. The goal overall is to eat healthier than what you're eating presently, but that doesn't necessitate it everything being 100% healthy. It's still human, nobody's perfect, and sometimes you just want some snacks. Some really sugary and tasty snacks. And that's okay as long as you can tell how long the last time was apart from the last one. Like I was saying, I get these on a routine basis. We'll get that into a second, but I can tell it apart when I'm getting these from the store. I'm not like, okay, I got one. Wait, was there another one? Or was that the same one and I'm just a bit confused? I can tell apart when I'm getting unique packages of these. Another thing that's very good as well, going back to the frugality and the supermarket, is having like small handful of junk foods. Example for me, dark milk chocolate bar and Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's that you're willing to give yourself a pass on, but you selectively tie that to when these items are on sale. So that way, when you're making your way through the supermarket, you're constantly checking, and when you don't see that sales tag underneath the thing, you just automatically move on because your brain has been trained to make in the habit of getting it on sale, and when it's not on sale, you don't get it. That has been something that's very useful for me. I've probably said that phrase an endless amount of times in that. Like, yeah, that is what it is. This one will be very important marking yourself down, and we're kind of transitioning out of just foods in general and just into psychology and just fitness activities. Not activities, but just some tips on that as well. To not get down on yourself and not make this kind of be a Herculean task. I kind of went into it before when I brought out the cookies, but yeah, you're gonna fail, and that's okay. Everyone fails at some point, but as long as you don't give up after just failing one time, then yeah, that's okay to fail. Just don't give up on yourself, because you can do this. Can achieve your goal here. It's not impossible, and don't make it out to be so in your own mind. And a good thing for that is to use health metrics to track your progress, like taking your weight and whatnot. Getting your BMI figured out. Like I was doing that at the gym, but you know what's going on. You know what's going on. And I know enough about YouTube where I don't want to say the name of it out loud, because it gets videos demonetized, baby. No. I say use health metrics as opposed to vague feelings, like feeling a bit cramped sometimes. Or like, example for me, just relying on the visuals. Because like not everyone will have a fully formed six-pack like you see in the movies. Thing about losing weight is it's still going to be just a kind of blank slate down there if you're not doing a lot of exercise to get defined abs. So it kind of hurts the psychology of it, of thinking you're making progress when it's still just kind of the same thing, but maybe kind of smaller. Like everyone would like to have a chiseled body, but like a good thing for comparing that is to look up bodybuilders in the off seasons. They're still muscular, but it doesn't look anywhere near as defined, because like that takes constant work. Another thing, don't just rely looking squarely at your face, just to vaguely determine, oh, am I losing weight? Because like I did that for a while there, and while my face may be a bit more angular now, it's still, well, only what I could call, just to be kind to myself, kind of puffy. The sad truth on that fact is is your face is actually one of the hardest places to lose fat, and will probably take far longer than what I'm saying to even lose the amount of weight I've lost in like 2 years to see any kind of result, if ever, without the aid of liposuction. Yeah, and you just don't want to be looking at yourself and getting yourself down like that, saying there's like no progress there based on like visuals alone. But like, I know just how far I've come in getting healthier and losing weight. So yeah, just don't just look at yourself in the mirror and feel bad. Make sure to weigh yourself. Some advice on that if you've never been to the gym before. You just kind of want to do it after you've emptied your stomach through the back end, shall we say. Get your weight, not your weight plus the waste product, or full gullet if you've just eaten within like the last 2 hours or so. Like you want to get your weight and feel good about that, or like make progress on it. Another thing there is also to not have too much water like within like an hour or two before you go to take your weight as well, because water weight does play a part in that as well. You want to find out what your weight is, not what your weight plus all the other stuff your body's processing is. The thing with this is, like, I've written out points and I have kind of been blurring them together somewhat. I think like overall I have been going on to my next point here, just not being too hard on yourself. Like again, like I said at the start of this took me a long time to obtain, and honestly it's going to take you a long time to attain as well. So just don't beat yourself down because you're not seeing magical weight loss results like some other adverts or some other videos or MLMs have been promising you. Like realistically, there's only so much you can lose healthily in a month without entering starvation, which you don't want to do, because that will slow down your metabolic rate, which will make it harder for you to lose weight in the future. So you just gotta be patient and be kind to yourself if you really do want to make this a reality. It's not gonna happen overnight. Not within a month, unless your weight loss goal is very small. If it's like kind of big like mine was, it's going to take you a long time. But honestly, like, it's worth doing. Like, I feel so much better now. Feel how much weight I have actually ended up losing. I could have used either, but I stuttered there. And then I stammered. And now I'm just vamping on that. But moving on to my other point, to mirror to that about not being too hard on yourself, is don't keep yourself in a bubble. To go back to what I was saying earlier, it's okay if you fail one time and don't get knocked down because of it. But like if you fail repeatedly, you're going to need to address that and make changes. It's okay if you go up in weight since the last time you scaled yourself just like one time and you managed to keep going down after that, because that's just a blip in your progress. But if you start to stagnate or start to go back up again, that's a key sign that you'll have to change something up. Like, for myself personally, I used to be very defensive about it, because I used to kind of remember what it was like to be thin, and I got into the psychology of it, of like being very defensive. Like, well, it's not that bad, it's not affecting me that much, I don't mind it. If you keep yourself in a bubble like that, as opposed to like just giving yourself the honest truth in the kindest way possible, you're not going to make any progress, and you're more likely to stagnate, or what happened to me with a while, regress. Not make any progress. Back then, I was just putting on more weight because of those things. It's another thing is if you've always kind of been heavy set, or for heavy set as long as you can remember, like, don't use that as a bubble as well. Like, oh, it's not possible for me. I've never done this before. I've never been thin or thinnish. Like, what's the point in trying? Like, if you are looking up these videos, and if you are looking up all these guides and advice, you want to do it. And you can do it. Like I'm saying, work and time. That's the way to get to it. There's no magic cure that will happen overnight, and you're gonna have to put a lot of work into changing your habits and routines and your psychology to get the best results for yourself. This one's going to be like the briefest of my points here. It's just some tips on engaging with exercise that I found helpful. And, exercise is good. You want to get more of that in your life if you're not doing an excessive amount, but at the same time, for just the goal of specific weight loss as opposed to gaining muscle mass, you will want to look to diet and nutrition a lot more than exercise, but you don't want to write it off altogether. One of the big things that helped me was to, in my case, add interest in, but for other people, it could be just gamifying it, making it a game, or for my instance, I was downloading episodes of things to watch from Netflix onto my phone and just playing those while I did cardio and listening to audiobooks, or just having YouTube on playing videos while I was doing weights. And that made the tasks a lot more enjoyable, with circling back to listening to audiobooks when doing grocery shopping. It just makes your brain think you're being super productive and doing something enjoyable, as opposed to doing this tedious, long, drawn-out task that, may not, which would just drain a lot of mental resources for you and just bum you out. Just adding in these interests to just keep it either neutral or fun just goes a long way into allowing you to commit to it on a regular basis. Now, on that note, it's like some people have like stereotypes of this from like just media. If you are just looking to exercise more, it doesn't have to be overly intense. Like, if it has been like a long time since you've exercised, or if you just haven't done that much in general, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, the first few trips you're doing anything will be sore, but once you start doing it on a slightly more regular basis, like, you will get used to it. And this isn't just saying like lifting incredibly heavy weights, or like just doing like exercise in general will be sore for you if you have not done a lot of it in the past. That's just going to be the case, whether you're doing light or intense, which you don't have to do in the aim of losing weight. You're just going to feel sore the first few times after that, and you got to power through that and just get into a regular habit of it. And again, it does not have to be intense, because like intense exercise is for bodybuilders looking to gain muscle mass, which, neat fact, actually weighs more than fat. Shocking, right? Like, really, you can get someone of the same weight, one be heavyset and one be incredibly muscular, and it would just be shocking to see. It's just the difference. But yeah, another good thing about getting into into getting into the habit of exercise, even just on a semi-regular basis, is take what you can get. Don't just bite off a day at the gym whenever that becomes available again, or just doing any kind of exercise at all because you left it too late today and I won't be able to do the full thing, that's fine, because we're trying to get into the habit of it. And if you just constantly write it off, you're getting into the habit of that. Like, if all you can get is like 10 minutes of cardio at the gym, or just doing some brief sets of exercises at home, not as much as you would have liked, but you can still do that, that's far better than not doing it at all. To get you into exercise, doing that regularly. Like, that is one of the most important things on the front of exercise I did for myself. Like, not write off a day because I just left it too late. As important as routines are, like, they're surprisingly chaotic and fragile. Oh my god, I missed one entirely. Well, actually, no, I did say it. Eat healthier, not just healthy, but I didn't go into detail about that. But this actually ties in the two of them together nicely. Like, routines are very fragile and chaotic and can be changed up by complete chance. Two examples for me, the one I gave earlier, goujons, because they were just sold out of the sausages I was eating, was a good change for me. Another one for myself was just my current living situation doesn't have a proper oven, so I'm reliant on the stove, an air fryer, and a microwave just for all my food. So I had to switch out a weekly pizza I was eating as like my one junk food that wasn't like incredibly healthy for me. Just out of routine, I was consuming it. But because I couldn't keep buying those, I switched it over to something I like just as much, these chicken-based hot dogs, which ironically, this actually ties into another thing, are healthier for me due to the lack of carbs from bread and just having less sugar in it and more fat that my body knows to just take what it needs and inject the rest, and actually had protein to some extent in them. And to go into frugality as well, yeah, it was cheaper than the pizza, and I was actually able to get myself two of them, 2 sets of them, mind you, and eat those at home 2 times within the week and still have it be a better effect on my health than that one pizza was. Because of sugar, which is like the main thing you want to watch out for, but also you want to cut out carbs as much as you can. Completely forgot this, and based on the language I'm using, I'm going to have to leave this in at the end. You want to cut that out as much as possible. Your main source of that will probably be bread. Ah, God, I'm yammering so much. Your main source of that will probably be bread. You want to cut that out as much as you can, and a good way to do that is to use wraps instead. Basically, anything you're making in a sandwich right now, you just gotta see if you can and make your best attempt to figure out how to put that into a wrap instead, because that will have a huge effect on you as well. Not only for the carbs, but again, sugar. Sugar is surprisingly in everything, and it's very bad for your body that I get that much of it. Another thing I was going to say is, like, with downscaling of portions, sometimes you might feel a bit hungrier and just want to have something more than your basic snacks that you've gotten for yourself. And a good trick for that is to have some of the ramen noodles, some quick make ramen noodles, and cook those up, because those aren't too bad for you to add in with another meal. It's not anywhere near as bad as, say, doubling down on another wrap or another meal that could have been saved for later, because it's very low calories and the flavored water, if you're keeping that in, consuming the noodles, and that will fill out the space in your stomach, making you think you're full. But again, like it's still healthy for you. You're not like overeating to an extreme extent. You're just filling up your stomach with a lot of flavored water. That's been a very useful trick for me on days where I've been like sticking to my new routines, doing them without thought, and liking the food I'm eating, but like just getting that I'm just kind of a bit hungrier today. That is great for those scenarios, because again, sometimes that will happen for you and you gotta plan for that. So yeah, this is the end of the video, but I already have like a specific outro made up for going over all the pleasantries there. But just to let you know, give you an idea of what the future things may hold, because I can't exactly do stuff like this all the time. I'm not a fitness or health guru. I'm just giving advice that's helped me lose a substantial amount of weight. But just so you know what the future may hold, if you like this, I'm very into film, television, and animation, and I like to cover and dissect stuff like that. Based on a few things you've already seen, I do like games. I will be covering stuff about that. I would like to, for my own sake, as well as others, just be informed about like all kinds of news related to those things and do like updates to those extents. And along with that, like I'm thinking of doing just a fortnightly, I'll say, unless I get really popular or there's like an insane volume. A fortnightly update, kind of a Kickstarter roundup, just to see what's on there and signal boost a few interesting things. Because like I just want to do that. I'm interested in it. I like creative projects, and I'd like to boost and support them where I can. The caveat I will give for every one of those is like with Kickstarter is a risk. Like no one's denying that. But there are certain things that are less riskier than others, with the exception of like a con man just coming in to that specific area and messing that up. But yeah, that is part of the risks. Also, so you know, like there will be some videos like this and reviews for film, animation, TV shows that will feature me live action. And for these like news roundup videos, they will feature basically audio with a artwork of the kind of mascot slash persona that I got made. Yeah, so just so you know, in case that's a deal breaker for you. Fair enough. But yeah, just so you know, that's what I'm looking to do in the future. And if you have stuck around for this video, I may have said it in the outro again, but sincerely, thank you. It means a lot. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share the video about the place, and if you've watched me a few times or just really like me, consider subscribing and looking at my Patreon. Ta-ta.